Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Simply Spooky here on a Wednesday night. As you can see, we've got, as usual, we've always got Viv in the chat, as she's the main host. And tonight we have got the wonderful, lovely Wayne Seadon. Hi, Wayne. How are you doing, buddy?
Good evening. I'm good, thanks.
Excellent.
Hope you're all well.
Excellent. Just say hello to a few people. Hi, William. Hi, William. Hope you're doing well. Hi, you, Claire. Hi, you, Paul. Hi, you, Annette. Lovely to see that there's so many of you in the chat, or the chat even straight off this evening. Now you have to.
Dan, I think that hat has got to you because you're saying rude words already.
I know. I was just about to say, I was like, you're gonna have to forgive me tonight because I've got this hat on for a reason. The reason is we refuse to put the heating on because it is cold and we're worried about the cost of it, so we're keeping it low by keeping ourselves warm. Now you just have to overlook the fact that I look like and that's that. I do. You have to overlook the fact, look beyond the fact that I look like a magic carpet salesman from Rioli Baghdad Bazaar, and I'm here tonight this is just to keep me warm. It's my thinking cap.
I thought
you just been to a Hoaxed concert.
That as well. So yes, so good evening, Bryce.
Annette's staying in the chat as well.
Is Annette staying in the chat? I'm glad you're all in the chat. Brilliant.
Bry's in the chat.
Bry's in the chat. Are you, Bry? Welcome to the chat.
He's terrible.
So what I'm going to do this evening, a little later on, about half time, I've got a magic rope trick I'm going to get out of my bag in here.
Just keep your cobra in your basket. That's all I say.
Just call me Halazim Halazar. Right. So good evening, everybody, and welcome. How are you? How are you, Wayne? Sorry, I did ask you, but I'm going to ask you again for the benefit of those that weren't listening, taking the piss out of my hat. How are you, mate?
I'm good, thank you.
Excellent. Viv, how are you this evening?
I'm all better for seeing Wayne. He's my favourite, you know.
He is. He's a lovely fella, is that Wayne?
It's much better than that Mark Manley bloke.
Oh, yeah, that Mark Manley. Oh, he gets on our nerves, doesn't he? Mr. Majestic. Hardly majestic, Brian. Mr. Pathetic, I think that's what I am, rather than majestic. So, yeah, go on. Everybody get your piss taken out now. Go on. Let me have it. Go on. I'm waiting for it.
So, Wayne is part of the Dark Mirror Show. If anyone that doesn't know the Dark Mirror Show, get on Facebook on Fridays. What time does it normally come out, Wayne?
It's usually 9:30 at night.
9:30.
Show.
And it's
actually a really good show.
Two presenters, Wayne and Mark Manley is his co-host. And the two guys do a fantastic job. They talk about all sorts. UFOs, conspiracies, paranormal, cryptid, you name it. No,
it's paranormal eclecticism, I think, is what you call it. It's everybody. No, Claire, I haven't dyed my eyebrows. Does it look like?
I would say it's
you, Claire.
Paranormal kaleidoscope.
Yes.
Paranormal kaleidoscope.
That's true.
I hope you're doing well, Claire.
Week it's changing. And the thing is we start off, we say to ourselves, right, we'll spend 5 days looking up for recent UFO sightings and things like that. And then we'll say, right, this is what we're going to do this week. We start the show, and then normally for the first 20 minutes, everything is going according to plan. And then all of a sudden, it changes. And we'll end up talking about stupid things like how tall is a blade of grass on a Sunday morning and things like that, and just goes completely random.
Like our show, yeah. But we go right off. We don't even talk about the paranormal half the time.
Yeah.
But you've been doing it for a long while now, haven't you?
We have an intention, and then all of a sudden it
just goes that way. It goes that way. So you've been doing that for a long while now, haven't you, mate? You've had the show going for quite a while, haven't you?
I think Dark Mirror has been 2 years now.
Is it really 2 years? Yeah. Same as yours, Viv, isn't it?
Same as ours, yeah.
So yeah, that's good. Got to get on there. It's a good show.
Mark originally was doing the Dark Mirror for about 6 or 7 years, maybe a little bit longer.
Was he really?
And then he was doing solo. And then he asked me if I wanted to come and join in. So.
Looking to my eyes, not around my eyes, looking to my eyes.
course. Don't give him delusions of grandeur, Nettie.
Right. I thought the hat made you look distinguished.
What you need now is your smoking pipe and slippers.
I do my smoking jacket, my smoking pipe, pair of slippers, and just sit there with a violin behind me, like Holmes.
My God. But now, Wayne, you've also written some books.
Loads of books.
Called Spookanori. Like part of the Spookanori range, aren't they?
Yes.
Tell everyone what Spookanori is that don't know.
Right. Well, Spookanori originally started as a I'm going to put it a stopgap between episodes of Most Haunted. I used to admin their page and work with Most Haunted on Most Haunted Experience events. And in between the series, there'd be a set gap. And I had to do things to try and sort of keep in communication with the fans. And on the Facebook group, there was something like 54,000 people signed into the group. And there was only me and Fred Batt that were actually governing the group. Carl and Stuart were originally part of it. And then they walked away to allow me and Fred to just take over. So I was doing the day shift, and then Fred about 2 o'clock in the morning would take over. Not that he really did much, but So in between the series, I would do things like little competitions and things like that. And then I started to do live readings of stories that I'd written, and they were originally only short stories. And I decided to call them Spookinori's after the original BBC Jackanori. But because they were paranormal tales, they're designed to be spooky. So I thought, right, Spookanori it is. And as a result, the stories that I've written so far have been 2 of them are ones that I'd written a while ago for the Most Haunted group, but I had to reimagine them to make them longer so that they could be published. So
you've got quite a few of those under your belt as well now, those stories.
I'm now writing my 5th.
Where can they buy your books? Where can they buy these? Where can they
at the moment, they're all on Amazon, either through Kindle, the ebook, or you can buy the paperback from Amazon, or I sell them personally as well. So I've got, at the moment that's out, I've got A Whistle from the Hills.
Okay.
Which is a nice one, set in Crete. We have Lady J, which at the moment is my bestseller.
Okay.
And that's set in Dorset. We have Cricket, not the sport.
No.
If it was, it'd be a blood sport because I put some blood splats on the cover. So that one's it's a paranormal story with a difference. It's not about ghosts. It's about more to do with Mother Nature.
Oh, I spelt your name with 2 N's for some reason.
I did see that, yeah.
I kept my finger on the button for too long.
It's Wayne Seadon.
Seadon. We just made you a bit posh there, Wayne.
Thank you. And then the last one that I released was Job Done.
Job done. Have you got some more in the pipeline at the minute? Haven't you got some ideas that you're chucking around? And
yep, at the moment I'm writing one called Overdue, which is a ghost train with a difference.
Ooh.
So that one's being written at the moment, which was originally done and is on my Facebook group. I think it was last year. I read it live, and I thought to release this, I'm going to have to reimagine the whole story again. And so far, I'm about 27 pages in, and I haven't even touched the original story.
Wow.
So that's
going to be your longest, isn't it?
It's taken its time. The longest one was Cricket. The longest book was about 184 pages long, I think. And this one is I think it will surpass that.
Bryce says, how do you find the time to write these books?
At the moment, with great difficulty. Because I've got 4 children. They're all in different stages of school. I've got one in nursery, one in infant school, one in primary school, one in secondary school. And we're caught picking them up and dropping them off. And and doing all the other bits along with all the other stuff that I do as well. But usually when I get a spare couple of hours, or I'll burn the midnight oil and just type away.
Just go for it.
I haven't written much over the last 2 weeks because I've been decorating the kitchen. So I've been having the paintbrushes out. And
that's all right. It's time for those artistic juices to flow, doesn't it, while you're doing something else?
It does. I mean, oddly enough, I was doing last Thursday on my group. I was reading Lady J, and I was reading the first chapter, and then I did a little Q&A afterwards. And people said to me, "How do you find the time to write them, and where do you get your ideas from?" And I said to them, you know, I can get my ideas out of thin air just walking down the road. And I had a prime example of that was a friend of mine owns a snack van in a plumber's merchants. And she asked me the same question. And I'm like, okay, a guy, he's running out of, his business is dying. So he sells it to somebody else and he disappears. The person that then buys the company, he goes in, gets awarded a multi-million-pound contract. He goes into the plumber's merchants to buy some taps or something, and he asks this guy, who he didn't recognise him. He just asked him where the taps were, and he pointed over to this darkened area of the warehouse, moves some stuff outside, and finds this body. And it turns out to be the guy who he brought the business off of.
Oh.
And of course, then the police questioned this guy because they think he might have had something to do with it. And he turned around and he went, when they showed him the picture, he's like, hang on a minute. He showed me where the taps were. And they went, well, he couldn't have showed you where the taps were because he's lying over there dead.
Yeah.
And my friend was like, oh my God, that's so weird. And I literally just plucked the story out of thin air.
Yeah.
But as a result of that, I've got 16 stories sitting there ready, waiting to be written.
Yeah, exactly. Do you find yourself writing on the wall, so Brian?
I tend to end up writing in my sleep. The ideas come up, and I'm sort of. I'll take notes in my mind. And then if I can remember what I've dreamed, I'll write them down as soon as I wake up. Or I'll put them into my phone. My phone is always by my side. And I have ideas that I put straight into my phone. So that once I've finished writing the book, I've got the next idea and I can take it off my phone and go, right, here goes book number 6 or whatever.
And I guess all you need is the germ of an idea, isn't it, really? And then obviously it forms itself around that over time.
It does. I mean, basically, all you need is a character, a location, and then just imagine that location and imagine that character, and then you just build around it. And then next minute, the story just literally swarms in. I mean, my backdrop, I could probably write a story about that.
Yeah.
It's
anywhere you can pick information or pick ideas up from anywhere, I guess.
Yeah, and I found it so easy to do that. I mean, the idea for Job Done, that house actually exists.
I was going to say, where do you get the pictures from for your brothers? Are they actual photos that you've taken?
Yeah, that is a photo of a house that a friend took for me. It literally is about 2 miles down the road from where I am. And I always used to pass it on the way to work. But there was a weird fascination with this house because it's set back from the road. You never see anybody around in the grounds of this house, and it's got mass expanse of gardens all around it. And one day I'd actually seen somebody standing on the roadside by the gate, and it was literally a rough-looking gentleman was standing there, and he waved at me as I drove past. And it just literally set up this weird fascination with this house, and it looked at the time, it looked a little bit run down and derelict, and this old bloke was actually living there. And the idea from that came up, and my friend said, "Do you want me to take a picture of it on my way to work?" So she took the picture of the house. I then edited the picture and included it as the backdrop for the book. So it worked out quite nice.
Excellent. Imagine going to a bookshop, rifling through some books, and find a book there, a ghost book with a picture of your house on the front.
Luckily, my friend did ask for permission. Apparently, her dad, who works as a farmer in the area, went to the house and asked if it was all right if his daughter could take a photo.
Yeah, I can't imagine many people would be anti that. To be fair,
it's weird. What I find really weird is that apparently my book is in Waterstones. One of my books. We don't know which one, but one of them is in Waterstones in Oban, in Scotland.
Is it?
Apparently.
In Oban?
Yeah. And I'm like, how on earth? Because they're only sold on Amazon or directly from myself. So I found it strange that it was in a bookshop in Oban, but I have found it on World of Books.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good.
So, and it's been sold for a lot more than it's actually worth.
Good.
Good.
I think
good.
One of the English, or the Great Britain, the UK branch of World of Books, it was selling for something like £7, and in America it was going for the equivalent of £9.80. And I'm like, but the books are only £3.50, so someone's making a profit.
Yeah, it's not you though, is it? Unfortunately,
no, it's not. But I don't mind that. I mean, that's why I'd rather people came to me, because then I sign them.
Yeah.
And that then, unless if I signed one to you, Dan, and you read it and went, oh, do you know what? I'm going to sell this. Unless you sell it to someone called Dan, it's not going to make.
They're not going to be able to sell it. Oh, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think I've got all your books at the minute. I think I have actually. I might not have the last one, but I've got the others. But they're good books. They really were. They definitely were. They're really interesting and great books to read. Hi, you William. It's nice to see you in the chat there. So Brian here really says he doesn't write as such, but he's been doing autobiography as I go along. That'll be a doozy. Yeah, it sounds like something. My one will be as well, Brian. So you're not alone. Actually, it's really weird because I found a couple of books the other day on my great grandfather, and there's a couple of books on his life, and I didn't even know they existed until I went through this. It was like a site online to do with the villages where they came from, because they're Norfolk. They are Dorset and West Country family going back hundreds of years, and it's a book about him as a grave digger of all things. So creepiness has been running in the family for a long time. So hi, you Sean. I hope you're doing well.
Sean from Down Under. It's my cousin.
Is it?
Yeah.
Hello, Sean. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Robert, can I post a like for free online books? Of course you can. I love my books. Definitely look them up on that. They're really good books. They're really, really good stories. Very enjoyable. Right, I was going to say, sorry, throw myself there.
Speak about the conspiracies.
Yes, I was sorry. I was looking at something else. Yeah, conspiracies. What conspiracies you got for us?
Well, didn't the 24th of September go past rather well?
It went by all right, didn't it?
Yeah. That was one of the biggest conspiracy theories of this year.
What was supposed to have happened?
There was a number of theories behind the 24th of September. A lot of them reckoned that Russia was going to use nukes, which would have been rubbish anyway. I even went out and brought factor 50,000. So I wasted £50,000 on factor 50,000.
I just bought a lump of lead. So hold it above my head.
I get it bad on the forehead. Look, you can see that there. Look.
Bloody hell!
That was a cottage pie.
Oh yes, you had a explosive cottage pie, didn't you? It went nuclear, didn't it?
Yeah, sort of. Basically, I was doing the kids' dinner and put it on the side, and it tipped, and a load of it slopped out.
Mate, that looks like that hurt.
I caught it in my hand, but as I caught it in my hand, a bit splopped up and got me right on the forehead.
Not in your bare hand, surely.
Yeah, I managed to
Oh,
put it back into the bowl, put my hand under the tap to sort my hand out, and forgot about the one burning my forehead.
oh, that looked painful as well.
It did sting a bit, but the good thing is either Tamsin or Freddie are going to be were cannibals for the night. Because it was hot enough. It was hot enough to take the layer of skin off, and it went in their cottage pie.
Did they know they were cannibals for the night, though, or they?
No, I haven't told them.
They won't do any harm
on their 18th birthdays.
So Bryce said it's been bugging me. Who you remind me of, Dan, and it's the Indian fella off the original Hammer version of the Mummy, the Mummy's caretaker. Do you know what, Bri? You probably made a very good point there. I think that was.
Hi, Jason. It's Jason.
Oh, hi, Jason. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Hope everything's going well on your side of the world. So yes,
there was the nuclear threat,
which never happened. Although there's still time for that.
Yeah, there was risk of all the oil and gas being cut off completely into Europe, which now they've discovered these leaky pipes, haven't they? And they reckon that the gas is running out of these leaky pipes.
You know what? A weird thing is the guy on tonight. I was watching him on one of these podcasts. He's a not conspiracist. He's ex-government, ex-American government. This guy, and he said that he said, yeah, we done that. He said, America, of course we did. He said, of course they did that. He thinks that they've blown the pipes, which he's worried or concerned about because he said it's an act of war.
Yep.
Complete act of war. And now they're talking about the whole nuclear arms race again and you know, the big red button and who's going to press it. And I don't know. I've got to the point now where if you're going to press, just press it. I can't be bothered anymore.
It won't happen.
Nah, there's too many people, too much to lose.
The problem I found is with the likes of, because now everything is literally social media, where you've got Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. You've got all these platforms where people can just put their rubbish out. And one of the biggest ones I found was on TikTok, and I think it was posted by a Russian, and it was about a Tsar bomber hitting London. And all the comments, the first thing I did was go straight into the comments because they're like, the blast radius will be so big. Over so many weeks, so many people will die and all this. And in the comments, it was, oh my God, I'm moving. All this, that, the other. And some people were taking it really, really seriously. And straight away, I'm on there and I'm like, you do realise there's no such thing as Tsar bomber anymore.
Mm.
They only made 3. They tested one, saw how powerful it was. They dismantled the second one. And then the third one was just reduced to a shell and put in a museum.
Yeah, see,
it was just a casing. But Putin knows full well that he wouldn't be able to use a big nuclear weapon simply because of the repercussions from other countries around the world would be going, nah. Even China is saying it. Don't use them.
No. There's too many people out there too much to lose.
And for them to say it, and you know, it means something. But if he was to use anything, he would use tactical battlefield nukes, which are more that area rather than massive areas. But he's broken the rules anyway because he's been using the vacuum bombs. So, you know, the rumor mill was going off about that. Then there was Freddie Mercury coming back, Michael Jackson coming back. Possibly Tupac, and the last one, which with the Queen's death, bless her, that went through the roof, and it was Princess Diana's going to come back, and there was videos going out there of, did you see the car she left the club in, or the hotel, was one car, and the car in the tunnel was another car. And yes, that is true. There was 2 cars. But that was because it was a deterrent to try and throw off the paparazzi.
Yeah.
They stopped cars. yeah, people weren't having it, and it just got a bit annoying in the end. And I just thought, to be honest, nothing's going to happen on the 24th.
No.
All it's going to be is all these threats, and nothing's going to happen.
We went and did an investigation on Saturday, the 24th, and we looked to the skies because it was a clear night, and we're thinking, oh, maybe something will happen sky-wise. And all we saw was shooting stars. Nothing happened.
No, nothing, no.
There was some new Skylink satellites were put up recently as well. So I think, if anything, skybound.
They'd be on that, wouldn't they? They'd be straight on that. Anything left this planet, or
that was all that was ever
never
special.
Been
but
yeah, that was the reporter, I think, that Robert's referring to. Oh, you shan't tell, Chantal. There you go. Right. The Fiat Uno has never been found. You're quite right. But I don't know. I'm sick. I'm tripping over conspiracy theories, and none of them ever seem to come to any fruition. It's just got to the point now where I know with the last few years we've led has been horrendous, but I'm hoping there's going to be a change in the winds, and it's going to be a fair wind that blows a little bit of luck our way, really, at some point. Because
to be honest, I think as far as conspiracy theories go, the biggest ones will always be, was Princess Diana bumped off by the royal family because of because of her relationship with Dodi Al Fayed. Then there was what was it? Oh, Prince Charles and Camilla had actually had a son, and he lives in Australia, and they were all like, "Oh, he's next in line to the throne." Well, royal protocol wouldn't allow that because it's a son born out of wedlock, so he would never have been next in line to the throne anyway.
Is that the bloke over there? Who's the guy? There's another guy who reckons he should be king now.
Yeah, it's crumbs. That was on Tony Robinson, weren't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's a new one.
Family tree.
There's a new one who reckons he's illegitimate, and it's like, oh, come off of it.
Chantel, don't.
Thank you, Chantel.
Don't give him a big head. Don't give him a big head.
I look like a magic carpet salesman from the Yodi Baghdad.
Or I think
it was Robert. I'll be charming snakes later with me old, getting me old trumpet out to missus.
So yeah, there's that, and then of course you've got the age-old Area 51. That's going to be going for years.
Yeah. That's the thing, isn't it?
I think until full disclosure is given by the governments of around the world, because it's not just America that have got secret installations. You're never going to get the truth about what's there.
No.
Because Area 51 is expanding all the time. They've even got sort of areas within the hills that they're using for laboratories. So, because we don't know what's going on in there, it opens up to speculation. And they all stand there and go, oh, what if they're doing this and what if they're doing that? And that sparks the rumour mill. Next minute, you've got all these different things going out there. And all it could be is, I don't know, they might have invited Marks and Spencer's in there to start production of their latest cake range or something.
Yeah.
Just renting out the space.
Something that's mundane.
Not available. So they're probably, I don't think there is much there, to be honest, because it's become such a public draw that they've had to move. If there is anything or was anything there, they've moved it elsewhere. There is an area 51 similar in Australia, and it's been
I think most world governments seem to have them, don't they?
We've got one here.
Yes,
we've got one here. Nick Pope and the presenter of Ancient Aliens actually went there, and Nick Pope turned around and he said, "I'm sorry, but I can't go down there." And he went, "Why not?" You see, because obviously I'm ex-Ministry of Defence.
Yeah.
If I go down there and I get caught, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
So they're like, right, well, I'll go down on my own then. He literally stood at the gate and the police turned up and went, what are you doing down here?
Well, Nick Pope, I guess, has signed the Official Secrets Act, hasn't he? So he can't. he can't do anything like that. But it's
he's only got another. I think he's only got another 41 years left to go before he's allowed to say anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've still got another
exactly. You can't tell.
Was it 96? So 96 to 2002. So what? 28 years. So another 22 years before I can say anything.
Where are the other 50 areas? Chantel said.
Yeah,
Area
I
51,
agree.
where are the other 50?
Agree.
Yeah.
We did land on the moon, but can't do it today.
Yes. Yes, that's yes.
This is something we've discussed on the Dark Mirror radio show, which has confused myself and Mark so much, is that we found information regarding
I know what you're going to say, yeah.
actually being on the moon.
Yeah.
And I showed it to Mark. Mark went, "Oh my God, look at this." And before we could do anything, everything, all the information just disappeared. We can't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
But it involved actual bases on the moon. There was lights in craters, and they were switching on and off. There was pipes coming out of craters and canyons on the moon. There was even a tower, and it looked quite aged. But the second we went to go back to it, it just completely vanished. Everything, all traces of it had gone.
You had one on Mars as well, wasn't it? It looked like an actual gateway. It looked like a doorway. Was that the Mars? Was that the moon?
There again, there is a rumor that there are what they call stargates, i.e., the film and the TV series. Whether that's because of the film Stargate, but there is a claim that there has been one found in the ice in Antarctica, one that's been found on Mars, and they reckon that obviously the more we venture out into space, we are likely to find even more. However, there are planets that we can't go to because the atmosphere isn't suitable. So Mars would have been at one point before the planet went into chaos. So the Stargate could have been there. But again, how much of it do you believe? You know, is it being put out there on purpose?
That's the thing, isn't it? It's always a sprinkling of confusion thrown in there, isn't there, to just dilute the water so you can't see. It makes it so murky you can't see the truth half the time. You see it right in front of you, but it's just mixed up. That's the one thing that throws me with the moon landing, the fact that they said, well, we can't do it anymore. And it's like, why not? We haven't got that sort of technology, or we haven't got the know-how now. It's really.
But Jason says that many Americans believe that the moon landing was hoaxed. What do you think, Wayne?
There are certainly a lot of photos out there that have surfaced that don't make sense, like crosshairs that have been accidentally airbrushed out. And the types of cameras that were being used, there would have been the crosshairs in certain positions on the frame. And somewhere along the line, they've airbrushed one of the crosshairs out that goes right across one of the astronauts' suits.
Right.
So technically, by the camera, the crosshair would have gone right across his chest. But for some reason, it's been airbrushed out. So the crosshair actually stops at his right arm. And then there's nothing, so you see all of the spacesuit. Well, if that was actually on the moon, then how did it get there? You know, where did this crosshair go? But again, who took the picture?
Right,
if Neil Armstrong was the first man on the moon, who took the picture?
Well, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Bryce says pyramids and Sphinx on Mars, isn't it?
Yeah, there is. The problem is there's a lot of rock formations, and obviously because Mars has got an atmosphere, there will be wind. There are storms on Mars. The weather can be bad on Mars, but there's obviously until we have a manned mission to Mars, all we can rely on is the rovers. You know, the rover will only take a certain degree of pictures at certain angles. So straight away you could go, right, well, that looks like a pyramid. Unless you're physically there and actually physically walk up to it, you're never going to know whether that's a pyramid
No.
or whether it's just a formation of rocks that have been put there by the wind. And we know that because there's some natural formed pyramids in Romania. And it's just the way the ground has been formed. Nobody has actually tried to see whether there's an entrance into this pyramid in Romania. They just know that it's pyramid shaped.
Yeah. Chantal says, I do believe the moon landing was real, but if you listen to some of the classified astronauts' comms, I think there was something seen, she said.
Yeah, I agree with Chantal, actually. There is something there that I think they weren't supposed to see, and I think that's the reason why they didn't go back. There is another conspiracy theory that after Apollo 17, they did go back. There was actually 3 more missions after Apollo 17, and they were to the moon, and they did go there to find out what else was there, and they reckon that is where the boost in technology has come from.
Right.
Annette says, I read Stargate was the reason for going into Iraq. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's interesting.
Oil.
Jason says they keep the truth from us because it contradicts many religious beliefs that only used to control the population. Chantel says comms, communications, like they are huge, they are everywhere, and the one claimed to see what looks like snakes on 2 occasions, 2 separate launches.
With the post about the comment about religion, the Pope had a conclave with a lot of his cardinals and bishops, and actually they spent 2 weeks discussing how they were going to introduce other beings from other worlds into the Bible.
Wow.
And that was a 2-week meeting from them, and they've got to admit it that somewhere along the line there has got to be something else out there. You know, I think it's human ignorance to think that we are
not just
totally alone in this big thing called space. And me and Mark have mentioned it a number of times. The Book of Enoch, which was part of the original.
I was looking at the Book of Enoch earlier the week.
Actually,
it's quite interesting.
That Enoch was 350 years old, and he never actually died. He ascended to the heavens.
He ascended,
chariot. Doesn't say he died.
It makes for interesting reading, that Book of Enoch, which you can see why the church has removed it.
Bryce says, and the boots that are supposed to have been worn in the NASA museum have a different tread than the pictures on the sand on the moon.
That was the rumor mill. The ones that are in the museum aren't the boots that stood on the moon. They were the training boots.
Right. And it says, make you think about the theory of hollow moon. And Robert says, are aliens our future? Us, our nearest star is 4 light years away, and the distance an alien would have to travel is boggling. And Jason says that's interesting. Right, I've caught up with all of those now. Over to you.
I think, as far as Robert's concerned, I agree with Robert. It is mind-boggling, but from our perspective, if we look at it
from our perspective, it is.
It's not this argument about physics. Before I was talking about physics,
on the Dark Mirror radio show, is that we had a phase where we had dinosaurs, and they were around for millions of years. Now, there was this so-called cataclysmic event that happened that wiped the dinosaurs out. Then eventually the new stage of evolution began, and we came along. Now, on another planet, could be 20 light years away, 200 light years away, they could have started this exactly the same way, but the dinosaurs were destroyed 500,000 years earlier than ours were, which then makes 500,000 years of evolution taking a head start than us.
Yeah.
So you imagine what we would be like in 50,000 years' time. That bridge for 4 light years could be minutes.
Exactly.
And it says, I don't think we have to look too far from this planet to find them. They're here already.
I wouldn't be surprised if they are.
No, I wouldn't be.
I came out with one called the Genesis theory, and it was based on the Star Trek Genesis, the project that they did where Spock died and they put his body on the planet and he came back to life. I came out with the theory that it's quite possible that the dinosaurs were destroyed on purpose. Then the new DNA and the new bacteria and everything else that was there to make us were put on the planet. And obviously then they walked away and left it to run its course. And every now and then, when you get people that say we've seen a UFO, we've been abducted by aliens, blah, blah, blah. They're the aliens that are coming back to see how the evolution has carried on. Sort of like a biology stroke geography.
Science experiment.
Yeah, exactly. Just to see how, it could be their genetics materials placed on this planet. And it's a history lesson. They're coming back to see how we've evolved over the years. And because
you know what?
To go backwards and forwards, it's a possibility.
I agree. Anything's possible. I mean, they're now started to talk about it. Started to talk about it in the last couple of years, but it's really gained momentum in this last year. Is they're talking about the Big Bang Theory never happening.
Huh?
Yeah.
That the Big Bang never happened at all. It was an entirely different set of circumstances that led us to where we are today.
Yeah, I mean, the Big Bang Theory sort of seemed to be the most plausible answer, but now with the advancement of technology and with the Hadron Collider, they're actually looking into it and seeing that, well, maybe not, because when you smash two atoms together, the first thing you get is a tiny black hole.
Yeah. Do you know, this is an argument, not an argument, but generally a bone of contention I have with a lot of people when they say to me, look, Dan, how can you come out with this and how can you come out with that and how can you change your mind on this because, physics doesn't work like that and physics. So, yeah, but physics is always changing.
Yeah.
As we evolve and we learn more, then physics changes as well. It's not this inconceivable area where the boundaries are not movable. They move all the time. Scientists are always changing due to the information they're getting as to what physics can and can't do.
Yeah, I mean, science and technology move side by side.
Yeah.
And obviously, science discovers the technology, but the technology then allows us to look more into the science. And then that progresses the science even more. Technology then advances, and they're literally battering off of each other to progress.
Yeah.
You're going to get to a stage where they're going to turn around and say, well, physically, a human being will be able to travel at the speed of light. And in theory, we will be able to. As fast as light or faster than light travel is possible because of weight. And the equation for it is just looking at what does light weigh? Well, light weighs nothing. So the object that needs to travel has to be weighing zero.
Science fiction becomes science fact.
All it needs is a propulsion unit to build the speed up, and you can travel as fast as light.
And you've also
faster than light, you've got to weigh negative mass.
And also, you've got the idea that these beings could be spiritual, so they've got no physical mass to them at all. It's just an energy. The energy's working outside the parameters,
which brings us to ghosts.
Which brings us back to ghosts.
Obviously, all go back to the same. Supposed to be pure energy.
Yeah, all back to the same point. It's amazing, really.
Right. So Nettie said, just quickly, we might need an injection of intelligence as we're all going feral and crazy.
Oh, and you're not wrong there. The world's gone arse tits up. It's mental.
Yeah. Robert says, is Nibiru real? It's meant to upset all planets' orbits, even if the sun has tilted 6 degrees.
No.
And Jason says, we've all seen Dennis Rodman and Michael Jackson, definitely aliens. And Annette says interdimensional, and Bry says and frequencies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's literally, everything is there. It's just got to be discovered.
Yeah.
And if you look over the last 100 years, or go back as far as the 80s, look at what a mobile phone looked like in the 80s. And now you've got them on your wrist, in a wristwatch. You know, technology has advanced so much in 40 years. That
Terry says,
Oh, you
do we
mate.
have to develop something to counter acceleration and deceleration forces?
well,
Hi, Terry, by the way.
in space, if there is no gravity in space, so you would have to obviously be going around anything that would cause a gravitational shift. But technically, in zero gravity, all you've got to worry about is dealing with the internals of the vehicle that's moving. Because if you all of a sudden you're flying a ship at 2 times the speed of light, and all of a sudden you want to slow down, you're not going to come to a complete standstill, because everybody that's inside the ship is going to head towards the front, and you're going to end up with a big flatty mess on the inside of the windscreen.
Lots of faces up.
But that will all come with technology.
Exactly.
And it says, do you think that CERN is messing with something that we might well regret?
No, I think what we need to worry about more is not worry about CERN. It's more worrying about our governments. They're the ones that are withholding the truth, and that's why me and Mark do our radio show.
How long would that need to be, Terry?
Because there are a lot of groups out there that are trying their damnedest to actually get full disclosure. And at the moment, the American government keep releasing documents, but they keep doctoring so much of it that the relevant information is missing. And
there's been a shift. I don't know whether it's down to the human race or it's just stupidness or whatever, but there's definitely been a shift in energy this last few years, because the human race has gone completely batshit crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know what the root cause of it is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to contact Bigfoot, so I'll be all right, because he's just nice and hairy cuddles.
Stephen Hawking said you might rue the day that you make contact. It's probably best to keep your head down because you don't know what's out there, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't trust any government, Annette says.
No, governments are rubbish. Governments are awful.
I mean, there are 2 governments of this world that have been openly honest, and that's France and Denmark. And they both have a website where all of the UFO sightings and reports are actually made public. So anybody can access them at any time. And they've sort of literally put it all out. And we did the same. And then just recently we seem to have gone, oh, you know what, it's not bother. And we'll just push it to one side and forget about it and pretend it doesn't exist. And the problem then is like Robert said, you have to be careful who you contact, because you don't know what they're going to be like. And could they be a wolf in sheep's clothing?
There's an awful lot of red flags that are going up for me in the last year or so, and particularly the last few months, because it's people's perception of reality. It's also the way that governments are behaving, and there's a lot of sinister stuff going on, like smoke screens, and it does make me think, what's going on behind that? What's going on behind that? What's that?
There is a lot of strange stuff going on in regards to governments. I mean, you look at the Guidestones, the Georgia Guidestones.
Yes.
You know, the one that got mysteriously blown up was the one that actually stated that there should be no more than 500 million people on this planet, or 500,000 people, or something similar. And it was written all different languages. There was the alignment with the stars. There is also the mystery surrounding how and who built it. Because the guy that went to the masonry guy to build it, he paid for it, but it wasn't on he wasn't the one paying for it. It was this conglomerate of people. And the guy said, you know, if I'm making it for them, I want to know who it is. And they said, well, I'm sorry, but I can't tell you. So there was the mystery behind who paid for it. Then obviously there was the mystery on who blew it up. Because all the footage that went out there, you don't actually see anybody approach the stones. You just see the stone, and then bang, it blows up.
Yeah.
Then the rumor mill took over and went, oh, didn't Donald Trump visit there a couple of days earlier?
Yeah, I heard that.
You know, oh,
Yeah.
right, so now we're going to blame Donald Trump for blowing up the Georgia Guidestone.
Or maybe they were trying to blow up Trump, but just missed it by a couple of days.
Yeah, they got the
You
timer
never know.
wrong.
You don't know, do
The
you?
timing wrong. Yeah, the clocks were wrong on the mechanisms. Why did they change the UFO to UAP and kept USOs?
Yeah, I think it should have stayed as UFOs. I mean, it's unidentified flying object and an unidentified aerial phenomena.
And what's a USO?
A USO is submerged. It's a submerged object.
Which is isn't that quite a new theory, isn't it? Or it's one that's been rolled
UFO to UAP?
Years. No, the USOs.
The USOs were because of the submerged ones.
Yeah.
A lot of, there's a place off of California which people reckon that was a UFO hotspot and a UFO base. And some bright spark Googled it, and it looked like there was the entrance to large hangars. And there was a big ledge with some big, long gaps underneath it. And this guy was going, oh, that's where the UFOs have been coming from. And it weren't. It just turned out to be that was where a sub base was. He made himself look such an idiot. But
I think what concerns me is that
submarine base there.
Is that you've seen the situation in the Ukraine has sort of taken momentum and other bits and bobs. You're hearing less and less now of the Tic Tacs. Do you know what I mean? Hearing much.
No, the Tic Tacs was the last thing before the Ukrainian war started.
Yeah, and it's amazing now one diversion goes, another comes along.
Yeah, I think that to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if the Ukrainian war was being used as a diversion to take you away from that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, having that war claiming that they want his land back, because we know Putin was pro-Soviet and he was ex-KGB.
Ex-KGB,
He wanted the USSR back the way it was.
Yeah.
So it was only a matter of time before he started flexing his muscles again.
Yeah.
The problem is when you go against the rest of the world, why bother?
Yeah, there's no point. Yeah.
Right. Robert says that Elon Musk said there are no aliens, or he would have met one. I think he is one. Laugh out loud. Hasling's. I'm going to call you Hassling Paranormal, Jason. Trump said there would be a McDonald's there. Was so angry when it wasn't and blew it up. That's the monoliths he's talking about. Wayne Bryce says, Wayne, do you know of monoliths that have popped up all over the world last year but never made mainstream news and also went quiet over media very quickly? Yes. And that just says it never bodes well in a different ideology finds another, as we have seen in history here. The indigenous seem to disappear. And Terry, Terry says, now he's done this to confuse me, some UAPs become USOs and so they're UASPOs. And Jason says, rumour is Putin is dying, has nothing to lose.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard he's ill.
An American I can't remember what they call them now. Someone that actually looks at someone's motions and actions.
Reading body language.
Yeah, reading the body language can actually tell what's wrong with a person. And there was an American guy who actually claims that Putin is ill, and you can tell that by when he's in the meetings, he's holding onto the table with one of his hands.
Right.
And I'm like, I wouldn't understand the significance of that because
I wouldn't be able to tell. No,
in my lap or something. But they reckoned he got some form of cancer and he's had treatment for it, and that he's practically on his way out. So, like I say, he's got nothing to lose.
No. Although with his grandchildren and that, what a selfish bastard he would have to beat her.
Dan, you can read this one out. I can't pronounce it.
That's one I haven't heard.
Do you know what that is? Do you know what that is, Wayne?
That looks like the Oumuamua.
Oumuamua, there you go. Was it alien?
Do you know what? I'm going to Google this because it's the first time I've seen that.
Do you want to put that up so you can see that?
Oumuamua.
What a name, eh?
Sounds like the name of a band in the 80s.
Oumuamua. I must go to the doctor. The old Oumuamua.
Oh, right, yeah. Oumuamua is an asteroid.
Oh, you Dave?
Oh,
okay. Is that the one that they think could be an alien ship?
Yeah, it was the first interstellar object detected passing through the solar system, formerly designated 2017 U1.
That's the one that the guy thought could be an alien craft, isn't it? I think. Is that the one, or am I wrong?
Yeah, they reckoned it was. Yeah, I didn't know what the name of it was. I knew that they had seen an object in space.
It was going along and it just slowed down and come to a dead stop or something.
Yeah,
hang on, that's not behaving.
It was not behaving up and slowing down.
That's it. Yeah, it's not behaving normally, or what you would expect.
I think was it Robert said something about the monoliths.
Yeah, right. We go back to
it was Robert that said about the monoliths. Yeah,
I was going to say if we could, because I know the answer to that one.
Oh, it's Brian. Sorry, yeah.
Right, the monoliths were an artist's installation. So it had nothing to do with aliens or weird beings or anything. It started off in America, where one was placed in like a small canyon, and it appeared overnight. And everybody in that area was sworn to secrecy for the sake of the art installation. And people then found it and went, "Oh my God, look at this!" And people were having their photos taken. Very 2001 Space Odyssey. Then another one turned up somewhere else in the world, and I think there was about 6 in total appeared in different places around the world.
There was one here, wasn't there, in Bristol or something? When they were
and it turned out that it was an art project, and this guy had gone on the internet and contacted various artists around the world and said, "Would you like to take part in this artist's installation?" And basically, after a certain amount of time, a new one would pop up. Then a certain amount of time, another one would pop up. And they just said it was just a joke. That was something they were doing for the art. And again, it proves the point that you could do something and make everybody believe it.
Yeah.
True. Sheffield, yeah. But I mean,
Terry's talking about that Oumuamua one.
It changed direction. Yeah, it was slowing down and speeding up, and then it came to a halt, didn't it? And then it moved again. And
the problem is with the distance that it was, it could be a possibility that there could have been black holes nearby. Because at that distance, it's very difficult to see a black hole.
It and slow. Yeah.
And it could be an asteroid that has come into that area, and the gravitational pull of the black holes are tugging at it.
Yeah, and slowing it speed. Yeah,
one small black hole to go against one big black hole, and the big black hole is going to win over the small one, so it's going to move it. It's going to push it a different direction. So you will have these black holes pushing in. If it's a field,
it looked like a pretty cool thing, though, didn't it?
Yeah,
it's a pretty cool thing.
But the problem is, again, is unless you actually go there, you're never going to know.
No.
Because it's all right looking through a telescope and going, right, well, that's a weird shape and it's traveling this speed. And then all of a sudden it's diverted, of course. But unless you're sitting right in front of it, you're never going to know whether it's an alien craft or an asteroid affected by gravitation.
Exactly. I know about the crop circles. I know about most of those.
Hands
up. We'll talk about that next week.
Hands up who think crop circles are hoaxes.
Crap circles.
I know.
Majority of them are. I don't,
because I know the black part of the World Syndicate who did them.
Do them. Yeah.
The complex ones
a mate of mine
are hoaxes.
Yeah.
They're still beautiful though.
Sorry?
They are saying still beautiful, weren't they? They're fantastic.
Yeah, they're good to look at. There was one though that did confuse me a little bit, and no one's actually come forward to doing it yet. And that was the one of the alien with the barcode down the other side.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, there's one with like the grey alien, and then down the side is a repeat of a response to the message that was sent up with the Apollo satellite. The one that went up into space with the old sign of man and the record and everything.
Yeah.
It was the barcode that came back was a reply to that message that went out, and it wasn't that dissimilar to the one we sent.
Oh,
and it had genetic code on it, and it was slightly different to ours.
That's interesting.
And they reckon it was the same response that they got back through radio waves. And then, oddly enough, the space telescope in Panama or wherever it was, all of a sudden fell apart.
It's odd, that, isn't it? Do you remember that? They said we've received the message back, and then you heard nothing else.
Yep.
They just completely shut down on it, didn't they?
But the problem is with all these crop circles, I mean, you know, how do you stop someone from going, well, I've just seen 20 people walk into the field and start patting down the barley or the corn or whatever?
Yeah.
You know, you're going to go to great extremes to try and keep everybody quiet.
Yeah.
So you're going to pick an isolated space in the middle of nowhere where hardly anybody's going to see you. But there was another case where a guy was, he's a local pilot to, I think it was near Salisbury, and he was hired to take two people. I think it was something like 100 miles past Salisbury or somewhere on towards Wales, and he flew over this field, and there was nothing. Yet on his way back, half an hour later, there was something.
There was this.
Yeah.
And that was within half an hour, and it was in the middle of the afternoon. So it's a case of how did, you know, that would have then taken lots of people to have done it in that quicker time. And I think sometimes some of these, the time frames just are a bit weird.
Could have done. Warnings coming through.
I think somewhere along the line we are probably quite being warned. You know, we sent Dart up into space to hit an asteroid. What damage would that asteroid do?
Well, yeah. I think, I'll be honest with you on that, I think that if anything's been out there this long looking at us, they could have made mincemeat of us time and time again. So I'm not, whatever's out there, I'm not particularly fussed about. I don't think it's certainly no more dangerous to us than the government.
Exactly. You know, what you know, there's going to be two types of aliens. They're going to be nice aliens that are going to say, hello, we're going to share our technology for the greater good. Or they're going to come down and go, hey, grub's up.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? But what choice have we got? They're either going to help us or they're not. And if they don't help us, then it's going to make no difference to what we're doing ourselves anyway.
That the aliens are already here and walk among us, that some of us are actually the aliens, like lizard people, greys. Now there's talk about the cryptids being alien, living in this other dimension, that they could actually come from other planets and things like that. There's all this stuff flying out there. You just don't know what to believe because too many people are saying too many different things. Somewhere in the middle is the truth.
I think the problem there is that like I said earlier on, social media is so predominant in everybody's life now.
Oh, I wish I'd get rid of it.
You can flood it with information.
Yeah.
And depending on whose information goes viral will be whether everybody believes it or not. And I say it so many times that I found a dragon footprint in the butter in my fridge. How many people are going to believe that if I put that on the internet?
Now you'll get on this morning TV program.
I'll tell you what we can do.
As long as it's not Phil and Ollie, I'll go on there. But Phil and Ollie,
I'll tell you what we should do. Hoaxed and Paranormal. I'll tell you what we should do. We should leave them alone. And I think maybe monitor people, look at them, see what they do, see how they live their lives. But I would do exactly what the aliens are doing. Because remember, even as humans, we sail across the planet and then bring diseases like colds and flu to tribes and peoples that have never come across it and wipe the whole lot out. So I think we should stay where we are and just monitor them.
Yeah, in that sort of situation, if we're going out into space to discover other planets with other life on it, we need to be very careful on how we approach it. Like you say, we could be bringing a simple disease to us that can be controlled, like the flu or a cold. That cold could be like the AIDS virus to them, and we could sneeze and they could drop like flies. So I
think we have Lois in the chat. I'm not sure. I think it's Lois.
Is that Lois? If it's you, Lois, or whoever, it's me thinking cap. I often wear it when I want to sit down and have a good think. Yeah, that's Lois.
That's possible.
Yeah.
It is a very strange occurrence, spontaneous human combustion. And they still haven't quite fathomed out what causes it.
Apparently it's Jay.
Oh, all right, Jay.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's the sad thing about it, and that, isn't it? We can't get along with each other here. We are children.
Annette's comment is brilliant because that is one of the pivotal things of full disclosure.
Mm.
Me and Mark have said it so many times that we think if they were going to come forward and go, hi guys, we've all got to be at the next level. We've all got to be thinking as one human race rather than just one country or one group of people. We've got to be thinking as complete human race together.
Yeah.
Before they're going to come down here and say, "You're right, folks. Here's some technology to help you go further into exploration," or "We're going to cure this for you. Here's the technology for it."
I'll be honest with you.
We all start thinking as one. It's not going to happen.
If I was a member of an intelligent race and I came down here, I'd be like, I don't want to speak to the governments. You're all pricks.
I don't think I wouldn't even come down here.
No, no, I don't think I would.
I'll be sitting there. I'll be sitting there and I'll be taking up the radio waves and the TV signals, and I'll be having a look at the TV, and I'll go, I'm not going to even waste my time.
Yeah.
Terry says, at Rendlesham, they said, "We are you from the future."
Yeah.
Oh, one of them said that in the interview, didn't he? The infamous Alien Grey interview where they got him in a room and he said,
there is a very popular theory that the alien greys are us in some 3,000 or 4,000 years' time, where our evolution expands.
Robert says that's why you don't hear about Americans talk about the Jews. The only good Indian is a dead one. But the thing is, they're still Indians and they are still Jews. So I don't understand. Yes, we did do as a race. We did some nasty things to these people.
Vile things.
But they are still here. As a race, we are still doing nasty things to one another.
Yep.
And
do you know what? There was that island, the island off the coast. It's like an African tribe. I'm not sure where it is. Obviously off the coast of Africa, but there's a conclave or an enclave rather, and there's about, I don't know, a small tribe there, and the government have said, do not go anywhere near. If you go near there, you've had it. They will kill you, and if they don't kill you, you'll end up in big shit. So what does this young lad go? He goes on there, and they kill him. Well, to be honest, he could be carrying any kind of bug.
Yeah.
Pass it to them, wipe the whole tribe out. How stupid have you got to be?
Yep.
Or arrogant?
It's ignorance. I'll
go on there.
Ignorance.
It's like, I'm sorry, you did get killed. Then nobody got arrested for it because obviously they're an ancient tribe, so they don't adhere to the rules and regulations of the outside world. So I'm sorry you got killed, but don't go on an island when you're told not to.
It's like the tribe in the Amazon. They are literally thousands of years behind the rest of the human race, and then someone flies a plane over and couldn't understand why they were having arrows and spears thrown at.
Yeah, I know.
They don't want you there. They're telling you to go away, so do so.
Exactly. If they're getting on perfectly well on their own for thousands of years, leave them.
I agree with Terry. If I was an alien race,
they're awful.
I'd get rid of humans first.
The thing is, and I'll always say, I don't think we are going to get anywhere with any other alien race until the human race as a whole has reached a enlightened status. Once the human race starts thinking as one, then things may happen. And until then, I don't think it will.
So when you were talking as one, Jason said he was taking them religious beliefs. I remember right, but the thing is,
place to do that.
No, if we all have the same religion, would that make us a better person, or would it not? Because I think the religion's the root to all evil. To be,
you know what? I think if everybody respected each other, it would be much better.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, the thing is if you look at all religions are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
This is what
Hi, Christine.
I struggle to understand is that all religions are all saying the same thing. Live in harmony with your surroundings. Live in harmony with those around you and with others. They're all saying the same thing, but they say it in a different way. But then you get territory and their beliefs start taking over, and next minute you know you've got an all-out war between one group of people and another.
Yeah.
And they're forgetting the original message.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Original message.
In fact, they use the original message as a way of whipping each other, aren't
they? There shouldn't be any issues between India and Pakistan. There shouldn't be any issues between. There shouldn't have been any issues between Germany and the Jews. There shouldn't have been issues with Egyptians and the Jews, or the Native American Indians and the Americans. There should never have been any of these issues if there was respect. And that's what all these faiths are trying to do, but are failing.
Great, Terry. Yeah, agree. Terry says respect and don't judge, and don't try to force your views on others. Yeah, that's true, Terry.
I mean, the point on that was when Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor of California. He was asked the question, "Would you ever consider running for president?" His answer was, "I would, but I'm not a full American. I'm Austrian."
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, hang on a minute. If I was there, I'd be turning around and saying, hang on a minute. But every president of the United States of America has not been a full American.
No.
Nope.
Not one of them.
No.
Nope.
The true full Americans, they tried to destroy. The proper Americans.
You know what it is? I think what it is with the governments all over the world is it's a little club and we ain't part of it. That's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so we're not even going to get in by the back door. If you're not part of that little clique, that's it. You're locked out.
So is it the Illuminati or something?
Yeah. They're the Illuminati, the Freemasons, the New World Order. You know, it's all this. We're better than you. We're higher than you, and we will go further than you will in life.
Yeah.
I think if anything I've learned about the human race in the last couple of years is how batshit crazy they are. You know what I mean? I went through all the years of my life thinking, you know, people are lovely, aren't they? They're lovely, aren't they? And in the last couple of years, particularly with this new generation, I look at them and think you're off your fucking heads. You're all mental. Every last one of you is mental.
Yep. But it's... I think that's what society has done to people. You know, like I say,
and it's done it for a reason, hasn't it? It's done it for a reason. Everything out there now that's in the name of a good cause is divisive. Everything, and it's there to split people up. Because while you're fighting each other, you're not looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit strange how there is now a rumour starting up about the COVID vaccine, again, new one, that because there was no long-term analysis of the vaccine, that they weren't too sure what was going to happen in the future, because normally the long-term is over 2 years. Well, it's now been 2 years, and oddly enough, there seems to be an increase of people suffering from headaches and actually reporting it to GPs and hospitals that they're starting to get headaches and migraines. And now they're pointing the finger at the COVID vaccine.
It could be anything, couldn't it?
Yeah.
I've known quite a few people that have said on Facebook, "Oh, I've woken up with a splitting headache today," and then the following day they've posted the same thing again, and their headaches have lasted days on end. Helen's been getting them, and her migraine lasted 2 weeks.
I had my booster today.
Was that the flu one or the COVID one?
Both.
That's why he's got his funny hat on.
I got my hat on, yeah.
Yeah, your head started
I had
swelling.
both done today.
That was the short-term effect.
I said to him, I said, "Have you got anything else I can have?" He said, "Well," I said, "I feel like I need some in the legs as well." He's done both arms. Let's get the set in.
You're going to ache tomorrow. Your arms are going to be like, and you're going to be, oh, my arms ache. One in each side.
I only ever had that when I went to join the RAF. I had the yellow fever injection because the first posting I was going to have was over in Iraq with the Operation Desert Storm. And they put the injection in. We walked out the med centre, and we hit the air, and I thought, "Oh, what's that?" And when I looked at my arm, it was like someone had stitched a golf ball under my skin.
Yeah.
It's red. And I'm like,
yeah. You know what? I remember when I joined up. You must remember it as well. And they line you all up. You're fresh in, and they line you all up. And then you got your shirt off and that, and they got the sugar cube, wasn't it, with the thing on it, and then the injections. And we had this kid there who was joining the Marines. He said, "I don't give an F about injections and that." As soon as the needle come out, he hit the floor like a stack of shit. This kid.
They never bother me, but that one did. That one, I'm just like, Jesus H. How am I supposed to get my shirt over that now?
Well, that's the thing, and even as a member of the military, you don't know what they're jabbing you with. There could be all sorts of experimental crap going in the party.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, they say it was for yellow fever, but there could have been
anything
in there as well.
Could have been anything.
Yeah. Probably be.
Would you have the new COVID jab or the COVID jab now, or not bother? Nah. You wouldn't bother. About you, Viv?
I'm having it done, so I've got a thing through. I've got to go and get it done. I'm having my flu jab as well.
I had the first booster, so I had the original 2, and then I had the third booster, and then after the third booster, we caught COVID.
Yeah,
so you will.
What's the fucking point?
Yeah, you will.
If I'm going to have these vaccinations and then catch the bloody thing anyway, I might as well not bother.
But so it's like when you have a flu jab, you can still catch flu, but it's not it's not as harsh, like a harsh flu that you end up in hospital. You'll still get flu, but it won't be nowhere near as bad as somebody who
we all caught COVID over Christmas.
Yeah, I remember you getting it, yeah.
I had it hardly anywhere near as bad as everybody else. Ethan caught COVID, and he hadn't had any of the vaccines. And he caught it, and his symptoms were only a little bit worse than mine.
See, I have to have it because not for me, but Hazel, she's got an immunosuppressant disease, so I have to have it to cover her.
Yeah, I mean, for us guys here through choice, we're not going to bother because it's
that's fair enough. No, that's fair enough.
We've had the first booster, and it ain't really done nothing to us. We still caught it.
Two members of my family.
If we catch it again, we're not going to get it any worse than we already did.
No.
Two members of my family got it very bad.
Yeah.
And both of them were put on ventilators. Both of them, they were pensioner age. One of them in the UK, he survived but lost 3 months of his life and still has issues from being on the ventilator. He can't walk very far. He walks with a stick now. He's lost lots of weight.
You feel better soon, Christine.
He's not a very well man, but he's alive. But the other member of my family sadly passed away. Now, he didn't pass away with COVID, but his symptoms were bad enough to end him in hospital. They put him on a ventilator. And because his body basically couldn't deal with the ventilator, because people think that ventilators are you put a tube in and that's it. No, it's not. They put a tube in and then they change the tube. They have to keep changing it because your esophagus is so big. Anyway, he ended up passing away. He had a heart attack because his body couldn't deal with the ventilator.
It was the ventilators that were causing a lot of the deaths, was it, early on?
Yeah.
They didn't realise what the situation was, did they?
Yeah. So he didn't die of COVID, but he died because of the ventilator, which he needed to be able to breathe and keep him going. And it's just one of those things.
There would have been the time where they turned around and said it was COVID that killed him.
Yeah, even if he'd have fell over.
Because they were doing that all the time, weren't they? It didn't matter what it was.
Yeah.
You died of COVID regardless.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, his mum died of a heart attack.
Yeah.
And when they got the death certificate, it came up as COVID. And he went, but no, her heart packed in. She wasn't even ill. She didn't have any symptoms.
Guy died on a motorbike had that, didn't he? He got killed a month after getting COVID in the Beecham Hospital. They put him down as a COVID statistic.
Yep. There was another guy down in Dorset. He actually got taken off.
I hope you feel better really soon.
Yeah.
Bless you,
Christine's got COVID and she's really bad.
Bless you.
Bless her.
I hope you feel better soon.
Yeah. A friend of mine passed away and it was the jab that killed her. It was the second booster she had. And the second booster caused clots that travelled. It went to her heart and she died very suddenly. So, again, not all the jabs are suitable for everybody.
No. It's like anything. Like you could have a flu jab and pass away, couldn't you?
The problem was it was obviously this virus sort of boom was out there, even though technically everybody knew about COVID for decades because it was on bottles of Dettol.
I agree, Robert.
That's right.
And things like that. It was always there. And I think the first known case of COVID was in something like 1968. So that's a hell of a long time ago. So COVID was known about. But this particular strain, like the flu, it migrates and changes every year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have to have, that's why you have a new flu vaccine.
Do you know what amazes me? Everyone's talking about COVID, but no one's talking about Ebola that is still rife, that's still going on.
There wasn't that much talk about the flu either this year.
No, there hasn't.
There was hardly any cases of the flu last year, according to the government, because you didn't need to know that because it was all about COVID.
It was,
The fact remained that more people died of the flu last year than died of COVID.
Yeah.
And the year before.
That's remote COVID, didn't they? Because that was well controlled in the masses. Air travel was the spreader,
But then it can also spread not just on air travel, but on objects that we're importing, exporting right across the world.
But it was like they said. I mean, we had one of my ex-team members. He got cystic fibrosis, so he was always wearing a face mask whenever we went out anywhere. Face mask. Then he plastered all over Facebook that he got COVID, and it was anti-vaxxers that gave it to him. So I said, how do you know it was an anti-vaxxer protester that gave you the virus?
Yeah.
Well, because they were near us when we were in Chelmsford Town Centre. I said, but hang on a minute. I said, stop. I said, because were you in town for a specific reason? Were you shopping? And you went, yeah. I said, well, you could have gone into Primark after a protester had already been in there, or an anti-vaxxer had gone in. He was a carrier, so he wasn't showing any symptoms. Gone, ooh, I like that jumper. Picked it up, held it up to himself, and gone, I don't think that's me. And
coughed on it.
Back. He's then transferred the virus from himself onto that jumper. You've then walked in and gone, oh, I like that jumper. Whoops, I've just cross-contaminated myself. And he's got COVID.
I think the sad thing about it was that they had everybody was at each. They were dividing people with it, using it to divide people again. Have you had your jab? Haven't you had your jab? Well, if you haven't had your jab, you're nasty. You're this. You're that. No, people's right to have the jab if they want, and it's their right not to have it if they want.
Some of the draconian things that they wanted to do to people because they hadn't got the vaccine was wrong, and that was when all this New World Order shit started kicking off.
The Tory minister came out the other day.
New World Order, they've started all of this COVID business.
Yeah, there was a Tory minister came out the other day, and she was talking about another Tory minister who was in the cabinet at the time, and he turned around and said, "What we need to do is if there's COVID in a house, we need to take the children and put them in homes." And she said, you can't do that. Oh, she said, you can't do that. And he said, who says we can't? And she said, if you do, now this woman was also, she was on the board of, she was on the board for the COVID board there, but she was a psychologist, behavioural psychologist. And she said, because if you do this, they'll be up in arms. And he said, well, let them get up in arms. He went, we'll soon put a stop to that. And these are the bastards you're dealing with.
Mm.
These are the pieces of shit in government that you're dealing with.
Yeah. Because with governments, they're getting paid, God knows, near enough £100,000 a year, plus all the extras that come with it. And they're the ones that are already living the life of Riley. They're not struggling. They're not the ones that have got to pay their electricity bill, because some of their expenses will be covered by the government payroll.
Yeah.
They're not bothered about the average people, the people that have got to work their asses off to pay their energy bill.
No, exactly.
And I've said it before, I'm lucky my parents had solar panels installed on the house. So we've got what energy comes in from the sun. So we've benefited there. Nighttime, it's running off a 48-hour battery. So technically we don't have any electricity bill whatsoever. But we do have gas. But the money that is generated from the excess energy we're putting into the national grid pays the gas bill. So for us, luckily, we have that privilege where we don't have an energy bill.
That's good, though. That's great.
But
right, listen,
I had
guys.
this discussion with someone the other day. They turned around and said, but not everybody had that opportunity. No, they didn't, because it was down to the councils to offer the grant systems and various things to put in place.
It was.
Get solar panels.
It was.
And they gave you plenty of warning this was coming, just by offering that grant.
Right, listen, guys, it's 1:30 the hour. We've been on an hour and a half, so it's gone quick. So we're going to call it there. Wayne, we've got to get you back on the show at some point and continue these conversations.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, spoken Ori. Get the books, guys. They're great books. Very good. Oh, I like it. I like it.
These are my own little mugs I'm doing. I was asked to do merchandise.
Excellent.
Right, I'm going to buy one of them off you.
I've only got 6 of these available. And I've already got
I'm going to have 2. One for me. I'm going to buy 2. I'll buy 2 off you. One for me and one for Viv. How do I send the money across? Let me know.
I'll message you afterwards.
Message me and I'll get one of Viv as well.
So I think the next show coming up on the channel will be on Friday at 8:00 with Frighteners. I think Saturday, I'm not sure. William he will be on at 10:00 UK time. And whatever you're doing this week, we hope you have a great week. Jamie sends his love to everyone. I can see it in my messenger chats. He's a naughty boy, he is. But you'll find out why on Tuesday on the Things Network.
What, our Jamie?
Yeah.
Is he in the chat, is he, somewhere?
No, he's gone. He's on my private chat now.
I was just going to say, Jamie, you're a prick.
Bless him. We do love Jamie, really.
He's a Liverpool fan. He's got to go to bed early.
Yeah.
We hope you have a wonderful weekend, guys, and whatever you're doing, stay safe and stay warm as well.